While I'm laying in bed, I start to feel this inexplicable feeling of dread. I feel as though I'm about to die. The shock sent my soul out of my body. Through the bed, I felt like I was falling backwards, down through the ground, and just down through these different levels. Darkness enveloped me. That's when it hits me. Oh my God, I'm in hell. I was getting ready to go to bed one night. Went into my room, I closed my door, and I just laid in bed and, closed my eyes and started to kind of try to drift off into sleep. And as I'm laying there, very much awake, and before I get into the nitty-gritty of this story, I want to make it very clear that what I'm about to say, this was not a dream. Dreams happen when you're asleep. And this was not a hallucination. Hallucinations happen when you're, drinking too much, you take drugs, or you might even take one too many Benadryls and have a hallucination. I was completely 100% sober. Nothing foreign in my body other than water that I was drinking to go to bed. While I'm laying in bed, I start to feel this inexplicable feeling of dread. And the best way that I can describe dread is imminent death is what I was feeling. I went from feeling completely perfect, completely normal, to all of a sudden feeling like death was inches away from me and it was about to overtake me. It was an incredibly eerie sensation. I had never felt anything like that in my life. And I had had relatives that had passed away, some very close friends that had passed away. I never felt that feeling of dread. I had no idea why I was feeling it, but it was really, really scary. And it was starting to fill my heart with fear of what I was feeling in that moment. So I'm laying in bed. I feel the sensation of dread of imminent death. And from my feet, this feeling is creeping up my entire body, and I start to feel pins and needles all over my body, these waves and flushes of this very uncomfortable feeling, this feeling of not being in control, the feeling that my body is doing something that I can't explain for a reason that I don't know, and I don't know what's going to happen to me, but I feel as though I'm about to die. As this feeling is creeping up my body, it gets to my chest, and now my heart is just going crazy. Just like I'm in full panic mode at this moment. Even right now, just recalling it, I can feel my heart like remembering what that felt like, and it's starting to get a little rapid right now. It was just overtaking my entire body, and there was nothing that I could do to stop it or to hold it, to restrain it, to limit it, to stop it from spreading, and it eventually just overtakes my entire body to the top of my head, and at this point, I'm feeling like I'm gonna have a heart attack. My heart, must have been going 200, 300 beats a minute there. I've never felt it beat that fast before. I literally felt like I was about to have a heart attack. As I'm feeling this feeling in my chest, I'm just going through all of these different emotions in my head. Why is this happening? What is going on? I was a young, healthy guy in my 20s. Like, there's no reason I should be feeling this. I was just so confused. And that confusion lent into the panic that I was already feeling and really just like took it to another level. As I'm feeling all of this within my body, my arms and my legs start to get very, very heavy. I couldn't even lift my head off of the pillow. I felt like I was just stuck on flypaper or like stuck in molasses, that it took a tremendous amount of energy for me just to try to lift my arm up just a tiny bit. And I'm laying in bed and I'm trying to lift my hand up and I can barely do it. So with the last muster of energy that I can muster up, I grab my blanket that's in front of me and I try to bring it over my eyes just to a fight or flight reflex to try to escape what I was feeling in that moment. As I'm pulling the covers kind of over my eyes, I look over to my door that I know I've just closed. I know I have just closed that door 2 minutes before laying in bed. I look over to my door and I notice that my door is now slightly ajar, slightly open. And that really, really freaked me out. The thought that I know I closed my door. I have a feeling that there's someone on the other side of the door who's there for me. A very strong authoritarian energy, like I'm in trouble, like you did something wrong in school and now you're being sent to the principal's office. This authoritarian energy was right on the other side of my door. And I thought for just a second, I actually saw something kind of like go in the darkness of the door that was there. The moment that I saw that, I hit another level of panic. My heart hit another 100 BPMs per minute right there. The shock of seeing that door open sent my soul out of my body. That is the best way that I can explain it. The shock of that literally sent my soul out of my body, and now my soul has traveled through the bed. I felt like I was falling backwards into my bed, down through the ground, and just down through these different levels as if I was sleeping on the 100th floor of a hotel, and now I'm just falling through all of these different levels, all of these different floors below me. And I felt this incredible sense of acceleration. I mean, very, very rapid acceleration backwards. And the best way I can describe it is, when you go to a roller coaster and you're going up and you're going down and you feel your insides, you feel your heart, your lungs, your intestines, you just feel everything inside you like moving up and down. I felt my entire body just falling backwards so rapidly. And I saw this darkness envelop me on the way down. And just this little ring of light that I just kept my eyes fixed on it, thinking like, whoa, where am I going? Why am I going away from the light? It's kind of like in the movie Ring when they throw Samira down the well and then they show you her perspective and it's just darkness with just that little ring of light there at the end. That's very close to what I saw. As I'm falling backwards, the light is getting further and further away from me, and I'm in a complete panic mode. I know that something really, really serious has just happened. I felt a detachment. I felt like I was split in two, like my body was one place, but my everything that I was, my soul, my personality, my character, my history within my soul was being separated from my body as I'm falling backwards. I land and I'm kind of like in a kind of like prone position on the floor with my hands in front of me like this. And I lift my head up and I can see that I'm in what looks like to be a cave or rocks. There's rocks and there's dirt all around me. It's incredibly dark. There is only glimmers of light. At this point, I'm still kind of like looking down, looking up right in front of me, and all I see is darkness. And I see this kind of luminance coming from my right side, right over my shoulder. And I'm feeling very, very weak. I mean, very, very lethargic. I pick my head up and I look over to my right. And as I look over to my right, I start hearing the most blood curdling, agonizing screams that I've ever heard in my life. I mean, there is no movie, there is no disaster that I've ever witnessed or seen online or seen a movie of where people were so many people. I mean, uh, tens of thousands of people all screaming at the top of their lungs in agony. Very easy to tell that they were just terrified, they were being tormented. And I look over to my right and I can see that there is a lake of fire and there are people, there are real people in this lake of fire who are burning. Some of them are raising up their hands to try to get out, to try to reach a rock or to reach a pedestal to try to get out. And the flesh on their hands is literally just melting off. I see people's faces where their skin is melting off of their faces. As these people are looking around trying to find some sort of salvation from this fire, I see their eyeballs popping. Their tongues are literally on fire. As they scream and their mouths are open, I can see that their tongues are on fire. These are people who are in just extreme, extreme pain and agony in here. And within this lake of fire, it's very strange because the fire itself is bright. I can see light coming from the fire, but the light that was being emanated from the flame was only traveling like that much. So it was like there was light and there was dark, but it's there was no separation between them. It was like both light and dark. And that was the only luminance that I could see coming from this lake of fire. I could see within the lake of fire, there was like these pedestals that looked like there were people that were climbing up these pedestals in the middle of the lake of fire that were trying to jump from one pedestal to the next to the next. And then I looked over and I could see that the reason why they were trying to jump on these pedestals was because there was a window that was heaven. And it's weird, this entire time when I'm in this place, I'm seeing these people burning, I'm seeing that I'm in a cave, it doesn't really hit me yet that I'm in hell until I see a window to heaven. That's when it hits me. Oh my God, I'm in hell and these people are trying to get to heaven. And it seems like when you look at it visually, seems like you could just jump from pedestal to pedestal to eventually get to that window. But as the people are jumping, that last jump is just too far. And they end up falling right back into the lake of fire. And then as people burn in this fire, I see some of the people who the skin had just completely melted off of their hand, their skin will regenerate on their hands and on their bodies just so they can start burning again. Then the entire process starts all over. They have like a millisecond where they're not burning and then they just start burning all over again. And as these people are trying to jump through these pedestals, trying to get to the window of heaven, now I'm in this realization like, "Oh my God, I've I've really, really messed up." This immense wave of despair, hopelessness, sadness, horror just overwhelms me in that moment. And I've never felt the intensity of what I was feeling in this place ever on earth. And the best way that I can describe it is when you are in your human body, there is limits to everything that you can feel. There is a limit to the amount of happiness you can feel. There's a limit to the amount of sadness you can feel because our bodies are only able to hit that limit. For instance, if you don't have a very strong heart, there's a limit to the amount of sadness you can feel. Because if you feel so sad and you have a weak heart, you're going to die of a broken heart. You're going to die of a heart attack. That's the limit that you hit there because of your body. When you are without a body, when you are in your soul form, there's absolutely no limit to the amount of pain that you can feel emotionally. It was just exponential, the amount of pain and sorrow and hopelessness and despair. And no matter how many times I say these words or add adjectives in front of these words, nothing will compare to what I was feeling in that moment. Just utter hopelessness. I felt like I could cry forever. And when I had that thought of just breaking down in tears, I noticed I tried to cry, but there were no tears because there's no water in hell at all. It felt like it was stuck in me and I couldn't get it out. Because when you cry, you're kind of letting out that emotion. You're kind of letting out that pain so it's not so overwhelming to your body. But I couldn't let it out. It was just all stuck within me, and there was nothing that could take that feeling away. I started thinking about my family. I started thinking about the life that I was leading on earth. I started feeling this intense regret that I was so dumb. I could not believe that I had this amazing life on earth and now it's all gone. This feeling inside of me that everything is lost and you can never get it back. It's too late for you. And I kept on hearing this over and over in my mind. It's too late. It's too late. It's too late. Just over and over. And every time I heard that term, it's too late, just added another 10x of sadness on top of what I was already feeling. It was the most intense emotional experience that I've ever had. I was terrified. I was horrified. I would have given anything in that moment. I would have taken everything back if I knew this is what was going to happen to me. As I'm in this absolute torment just within myself, I'm not even looking at any of the terrible things that are going on around me. I'm just completely focused at this moment on what I'm feeling about myself, about my life, about all the mistakes that I've made. As I'm in this self-loathing kind of situation within myself, I'm still hearing the screams and the smell of sulfur and burning flesh and of soot. And my mouth was completely dry. My tongue felt like a rock, just a sandpaper rock in my mouth. The people that were just screaming a minute ago, that were just in complete agony, who had their eyeballs popping, who had their skin melting off of their face, those people who had just been screaming in agony suddenly started to shift. Now, one by one, instead of screaming, they're still burning. The burning is still going on. They're still being tormented. They're still being tortured. One by one, they start saying, Jesus, 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 getting more and more intense each time they say it. And then I look over to my right shoulder and I can see that there's this white glow that's walking down this pathway that's right over to my right hand side. And this white glow is walking closer and closer to me. Just the glow felt like authority. Just the glow felt so powerful. I can't even express it. I didn't even see, I couldn't see where the glow was coming from because I couldn't turn my head fully around. I felt like my body was just seized up, or my soul body was just seized up and I couldn't move very well. But I see the glow start to get closer and closer and closer. And now the people are saying, Jesus, Jesus, Jesus. And I turn as much as I can to look over to see what's happening. And the people who were burning were reaching out for him. As he's walking by them, all of them are reaching out, just trying to touch his garment. And they are like millimeters away from, like they go so close. as they're grasping, but they just cannot touch him. And I felt like that was another torment for them because when they would try to reach for him and not reach him, their screams would get louder, their frustration would grow because they know, and this is just a knowledge that was just given to me in that moment as I'm watching this unfold. I get this concept in my mind that if they were to touch his garment, they would be sent to heaven because now they are believers in Jesus. They believe that he is the Son of God. They believe in his power. They believe in his authority. And if they simply touch his garment, their faith will take them to heaven. But they can't. They get so, so, so close with every single grasp, but they can never actually touch his garment. So as it's coming, as I'm hearing them say Jesus, they're grasping for his garment. He comes over to me and I'm still kind of crouched on the floor. He puts his hands on my shoulder. The moment that he puts his hands on my shoulders, I go from feeling hopelessness, despair, intense anxiety, sadness, being terrified of the situation that I was in, to feeling this overwhelming love. I mean, overwhelming, just huge, huge amount of love that I can compare to every piece of love that I felt on my life on earth. Everything could, let's say, fit within this framework right here. Everything. The love of my mother, the love of my brother, the love of a best friend, the love of my childhood favorite pet, the love of a girlfriend, all of that love fit within this little area right here. The amount of love that I felt when Jesus touched me and laid his hands on my shoulder, it just like the size of the universe. My heart just expanded so rapidly in that moment. I felt so many things. I felt like, oh, this is love. This is where I came from. It was this feeling of familiarity. And I realized I don't even believe in Jesus. How is this happening? But I just knew. I knew it was Jesus. And I knew when he touched me, I knew this is where I came from. Before I was on earth, I was with him. He held me. This is where all of the love on earth comes from. He is the source of love. Without Jesus, if Jesus was not part of humanity or the earth, we would just be animals. We wouldn't be able to love one another or to feel what it is to be loved. He is the source of this emotion. And this familiarity that I felt was so, so comforting. I felt in that moment closer to him than I had felt closer to anybody on earth. Closer than my mother, closer than my father, closer than my grandmother, who was really closest to me from all my actual earth family. He felt so much closer to me. I knew that he knew everything about me. He knew me from the moment that I was sent down the silver cord into my mother's belly, and he was going to know me in my very last day. He had been walking with me that entire time. And when I was a little kid, sometimes my parents would leave me home alone, like they would go to work and then my parents would get back at different times. When they would get to the front door, I would know who was at the front door because of the sound of their keys. It was just this familiar thing. I knew what my mom's keys sounded like, and I knew what my dad's keys sounded like. So it was just the moment I heard that, I didn't need to see who was at the door. I already knew because I was familiar with that sound. That's how I felt with Jesus. I wasn't coming to know Jesus in that moment. I was remembering Jesus. it came from like a different part of my mind. I wasn't learning about Jesus in that moment. I was remembering Jesus. When you are separated from your earthly body, and like I mentioned, you're no longer limited by your brain, by your mind, by your eyeballs. You're not limited by any part of your earthly body. You remember all of this cosmic knowledge that you forgot when you incarnated into your body. And when you're separated from your body as a soul, you remember that God is real. You remember that Jesus is real. You remember that he created the entire universe and the 1 billion galaxies that are in our universe. And each one of those 1 billion galaxies has 1 trillion solar systems and planets in each one of them. He created each one of those. And we all exist within the God framework. Everything has purpose. Nothing is on accident. This earth is a test. This earth is a simulation of a mortal life. Our souls are immortal. Our souls live on forever. But earth is a simulation of a mortal life, which is a test for our souls to incarnate into these bodies. And I suddenly started just remembering all of this cosmic knowledge and just thinking to myself, man, I'm such an idiot. How did I forget all of this? I knew all of this before I was human. How did I forget all of this? And I got the sense that that's on purpose. That's on purpose. You're supposed to find your way back.
Thanks for watching. This was just a short clip from the full episode of God's Voice Today podcast. And if you want to see the full story, it should be on the screen right now. So don't miss it.